Alright, in this video we're going to go over actually setting up a service call for a customer. This will be a start to finish, sending the repair technician out, closing the job with the notes as far as what needs to be done, all the way to setting up an actual quote so that the customer can approve it. So anyways, let's just jump right into this thing. So we go to the customer's account. In this case, it'll be Jane Doe. We go over to the Work Orders tab. We're going to add the work order for the actual service call. So we got to use the templates. Come down here, choose the service call, and apply it. Notice all the information that pops up, including these charges. This customer is being charged for a service call fee, meaning they actually need to accept the charges for this. We use this process because a lot of people try to not pay the service call fee, or they try and say that I never agreed to it. So we use this emailing system to make sure that we're all on the same page, that there is a charge of $70 currently for us to go out and do this. So we just need to fill out the corresponding information. What day are we going? When is the appointment time if you've set an appointment time? What's the work order type? In this case, let's say that we're just going to go look at the pump. This is automatically filled out. Assign it to the appropriate technician. And put your name here because you're requesting it. That's good for the customer because then they know who they spoke with. It's good for the technician so they know who to call for details if they need it. Customer approval is needed. We are going to be sending the estimate so they can approve this. We are not releasing it to the schedule. Whenever they approve the charges via email by accepting this, it will automatically release it to the schedule. That way, that's the indicator that we know they've approved of these charges. Notice on the customer instructions it says, please press accept to have the job populate on the schedule. So they're aware. So work description, it's an appointment time, call 1 hour in advance. I'm just going to modify this because it's the appointment time. I always reiterate it. I know it says it right there, but I always put it twice so they can't say I didn't tell them. The more information, the better. Main pump isn't working, will only hum when turned on. Then we have the technician instructions informing them of what's going to happen with this. So let's say we waived all of the service call fees. We would need to delete both of these service call fees, erase this information, and inform them that we waived the fees so they don't try and collect on it and look like a crazy person when they're in the field. We're going to be collecting on this one though. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back. Just lets them know what's going on. If there are any coupons that they have, we can go ahead and inform the technician of that right now. And the payment method is CC on file, credit card on file. At this point, all we have to do is hit update work order. Just know this is set to send, this is set to release work order. Make sure everything here is correct because as soon as you send it, they're going to read it. The customer can read the work description. They can read the customer instructions. They cannot read the technician instructions. So I'm going to hit the update work order. It's going to send over to the customer. And that is it. We just got to wait. Once the customer hits accept via email, we're going to get an email informing us that the job has been accepted by the customer. It's automatically going to release the job onto Sean's schedule on the 21st. This is good to have in place. Let's say you're off work, nobody's in the office, so the customers hit the accept button and there's nobody there to move it back to the technician. That's why this is such a good thing. It gets us 2 points. One, they're approving of the actual charges. That way later if we need to, we can go to the history on the account and we can see that they actually accepted those charges and we can reference that if they try and dispute them for whatever reason. As well as it automatically puts it on the technician's schedule even if you're not there because you've pre-planned. So in this case, I'm just going to release it. So we're just doing a mock-up. We're going to act as though it's been accepted by the customer. So I'm going to release it. So now the technician is going to do it. You can go to the schedule. Notice that it has now showed up that it's been released on the schedule. Technician goes. He closes the job out. he puts just some closeout notes. This is acting as if I was the technician. I'm closing the job out for the technician. The technician does this in the field. They close it, they clock in, clock out, and they put closeout comments and everything. But in this case, I'm not assigning this to a technician for a test. I'm going to close it out here. And you can do that for them as well. Say they're in a hurry, they're backed up. You can call them and start closing their jobs out for them to get them fast-tracked so we can collect the money that we need to collect and they can move on about their day. So just put the closeout notes, customer needs new pump. In this case, we are sending a quote. Create the invoice, yes or no. There is money attached to this job. We need this invoice created. The technician will create the invoice in the field. In this case, we also need to create the invoice. Now that invoice has been created, I do try and give a little bit of downtime on these things to some extent. It's been closed out, and now when I go to the accounting tab and I go to the work orders, I have the descending, and there it is. It's a $70 service call fee with a waive on it for $40 if they approve it. So if they approve the job, we're gonna waive $40. So you're really stuck with two options at this point. I can release this, and I can push it into QuickBooks and collect the money on it. That's one option. And then when we give them the quote, we can actually do a deduction of $40. Or the best thing you could do is perform an immediate follow-up call with that customer, find out if they want to move forward with this job. If they want to move forward with the job, don't charge the $70. Only charge $30 because that's the trip fee, and then you're good. You got your $30. You can tack that on to the tech quote instead of backing money off of a tech quote after the fact, or collecting the money and then having to credit them. All the weird things. Point being, once the tech quote is ready, call the customer, do a follow-up, find out where their head's at. Do they want to move forward? If they don't want to move forward. If they don't want to move forward right now, collect the entire $70. If they do want to move forward, you can start making some decisions before you start pushing stuff into QuickBooks. I don't want to cancel that. I do want to hold it. I'm not pushing it right now. Hit the hold button, bam, it goes back to yellow. It's not ready to go to QuickBooks yet. So at this point, we need to actually create the quote that's going to the customer. So go back to the work orders, add a work order. Everything's done in the queue system. There's M3 here, tech quote. Boom, it pops up all this information. Customer can see this, customer can see this, customer cannot see this. Tech quotes, I still put relevant information such as payment method on file, CC on file. So they know, because essentially I'm going to send this quote to this customer. They're going to hit accept on this thing, and then once they hit accept on it, I'm going to put it on a technician. So what I like to do is come over here, go to the technician, schedule the install date. Now, same thing, all this is already automatically filled out. So I've scheduled it for the day that we can do the install. I put it on the technician that's going to do the install. I put the payment method that's on file right here, so they're aware of it when they do go out there. We are going to send them the estimate, and we're not going to release the work order. Same concept. When the customer hits accept, it's going to populate on Sean's schedule on this date. And then we just have to choose the line items that we want. So in this case, it's a pump, because theirs is obsolete. Pump service install, put the brand, Pentair 2 horsepower, Whisper Flow pump. Put whatever the charge price is for it. And there we go. We have the Pentair 2 horsepower Whisper Flow pump. Send estimate yes, release work order no. This is the part where we can actually start deciding what to do with that service call fee. So if they said that, yes, I want to move forward with it, just go ahead and send me the estimate. I'm going to hit accept on it. We can actually just not have charged that service call fee at this point. We have the Pentair 2 horsepower Whisper Flow pump. It's right there. It's $14.25. Let's go ahead and send this estimate yes and release this work order no. And now it's going to the customer. They can hit the accept button and we're good to go. Then we can go back to the previous one. We can actually take the trip charge and quote charge. This one was waived with approval. Delete it. Bam. Now we can update this. So now we have the correct actual invoicing. We can charge the customer for the trip charge from the service call fee on its invoice, and once they accept this, it'll be a standalone situation. Hypothetically speaking, let's say we've charged them the full $70. They call back a week later, say that they want to actually move forward with the repair, but what's going to happen with that quote charge that they had paid, that $40? What we need to do is go to the quote. I always use miscellaneous. Quote charge coupon, -1. We need to deduct that money from this actual quote that we had sent them. Just inform them, hey, I went ahead and I modified the original quote that we sent to you. I'm going to resend that over. It has the deduction of the $40 that we had already charged you from your actual service call a week ago. I've deducted that money from it. I'm going to resend it over to the customer. Go ahead and hit accept on that new one, and then you're good to go. And so this is what they can see. 2 horsepower whisper flow pump, and we've given them their money back from that $70. And then you're good to go. Wait for the technician to get the job done. Once the job has been done and closed, it will generate an invoice. We go back to the accounting tab, go back to the work orders tab, go to descending, and notice how this one is modified the way it needed to be modified. Then we just push it into QuickBooks and collect the money, send them the invoice. And that is the process, the whole process from start to finish, from doing the service calls. In a lot of cases, technicians handle creating those quotes in the field themselves. There are cases where they are busy. They're trying to move fast, so I'm on the phone with them, and they go and do the service call, they close the job out, they put their notes up. They haven't created a tech quote yet. I tell them, don't worry about it, I'll create the tech quote. Just make sure I have the information and the pricing. So they send me the pricing that I need, or I get the pricing myself from my price list. Depends on if it's on my price list or not. And then I compile all that quote. I email it to the customer, wait for the acceptance notification, put it back on their schedule. In some cases, the technician in the field closes out the job. They collect the money that they need to collect on the service call fee. They email the customer the tech quote. And then we just wait for the acceptance, give them a follow-up call, find out what's going on. And then, it's kind of a circumstantial thing. When they do call in, say, hey, I want to move forward, make sure you give them their $40 back on that service call fee. If the entire thing was waived and you've already collected the service fee, back it back out of the charge, so they get that money back, that reimbursement back for that $70. If you didn't waive, or if you didn't even charge a service call fee, you don't have anything to worry about. But you just have to make sure that you're following the rules that you set in place when you first talk to the customer. So that's the process. It's create the service call, send the technician. You do that with the actual service call template. Technician goes, closes out the job. We use the tech quote queue. We create an actual quote. We email it to the customer. Customer accepts it. It informs us via email that they've accepted it, and it goes onto the technician's schedule. Technician goes and does the job, closes it out. We grab the invoice, push it into QuickBooks, and this is a constant thing. So you're watching these repair technicians as they go. You're watching these pool cleaners as they go throughout the day. With work orders, when a job is closed, we immediately push it into QuickBooks and we collect the money on it. Tasks I do once in the morning and I do once in the afternoon. But whenever it comes to work orders, they're being closed and we're pushing to QuickBooks. And being closed, we're pushing to QuickBooks. We want to make sure we get the money processed as soon as possible to avoid any possible issues that could arise after the fact of any concerns. Everything that we do is warranted under our stuff, but sometimes cards decline, and we want to try and avoid that process, because the longer you wait to collect the money, the least of a chance that you're actually going to obtain that money. So just want to make sure we're on the same page. Notice on those service calls in the actual tech quotes, and I'll just go back just so it can be seen. This is good information to have whenever it comes to these things. Actually, I'm just going to come over here and hit the print invoice. This is, I'm pressing all the wrong buttons. Why aren't you letting me preview? All right, in the case where this thing happens, sometimes it's weird. You have to make a small change, and then you have to update the work order, and then you can actually preview it. On these customer instructions on tech quotes, there's a lot of information. This is all of the information that is telling them that they're e-signing off on these charges, and by accepting it, we're allowed to get that money. Um, it's just like a carbon copy invoice that you would sign in the field. It's just treated as an e-signature, and this right here in itself is the reason why this e-signature, having them accept the email, is such a big deal, because once they hit accept, it goes to the history on the account, and we can see that it actually had been accepted, um, in that case of that work order in specific. So anyways, that is it. That is setting up a service call and setting up a tech quote. Um, like I said, like all things in here, it's a process of repetition. You get used to it and you get really fast at it. But don't be afraid to ask questions.